danger the camp is under is greater than you can possibly imagine.
Jumping right into it, right off the bat, I want to talk about in episode 1, Sally tells Percy being a real hero means standing up for others. I've seen through episode 4, but that is the moment that I kept circling back to as I watched all of the episodes.
Right.
Sea of Monsters really tests that belief for all of the characters in this story. As the person who created those characters, what do you think this season reveals about each of their evolving ideas of heroism?
Wonderful question. Complicated answer, I think, but really it is about what is the right thing to do and how do you know it's the right thing to do. It is true that standing up for others is important. However, what does that mean? What does that look like when you apply it? This is about choosing sides. And how do you know which side is the right side? Luke, we know he's the quote-unquote villain. He's the antagonist. But he's not wrong. He is acting on principles that make a lot of sense. And the gods are capricious, and they are bad rulers and bad parents sometimes. But when do you take the next step and rebel openly against them? And is that the right move? I don't know that anyone in the season is really 100% sure of that, even Luke. He has conflicted feelings. Percy and Annabeth definitely have conflicted feelings. These are their friends. These are their found family that we're talking about, and it's being ripped apart. It's being ripped in half. And I think that's something that we can relate to these days. I mean, there's a lot of feelings about families being ripped apart. What do you believe? How do you know it's the truth? And what side do you stand on? And how far do you go to support that side? Now, I'm not saying that's unique to today, but it's certainly still very true of humans.
Yeah, my next question was actually this season deals heavily with the ideas of found family, forgiveness, and the cost of prophecy, and how you saw those themes resonating with audiences in 2025. So you kind of touched on that a little bit, but do you have maybe a little bit more to elaborate on there?
Sure. I think found family has only become more present and more important. I think it's always been an important thing that we have our family that we are born into, but we also find our family, our people, as we get older and explore more of the world. But I think the rise of the internet has certainly accelerated that and made it easier to find people who think the same way we do and feel the same way and have the same likes. And that can be an incredibly wonderful thing, but it can also be something that silos us into, only finding the people that are like us and that think the same way. And that is something I think most people could relate to. And wherever they are and whoever their found family is, they might agree, that can be isolating also. It can be a problem. How do we talk to one another if we're only talking to the people that we like?
So we can't talk about the series without talking about the lovely cast. I'm already having such a great time watching them grow into the roles more season by season, and it's only been 2. Was there something that the cast brought to their characters in season 2 that in particular surprised you or caught you off guard?
Oh, and just wait until season 3. I have to throw that out there. It's amazing to see how much they've developed. Yeah.
Oh, you can't do that to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but it's incredible. It's just incredible. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think one thing that surprised me and really made me happy was the way that Daniel Diemer and Dior Goodjohn inhabited the characters of Tyson and Clarice and made them central to the story. We have our sort of golden trio from the first season, but what happens when we break them apart and make them deal with the different dynamic, a different part of the demigod family? And the way that those characters become so important and so sympathetic and so lovable so quickly was a surprise to me. I thought that would be a great challenge, but the actors are so good and the story they're telling feels so organic and so true that I think the viewers will embrace them immediately.
As a longtime book reader, I was having such difficulty watching the 4 episodes that I got to watch and watching Dior in the role and going, man, I don't really quite want to like Clarice, but I kind of love her. I kind of love her right now.
Yeah.
She's just so fantastic. Without spoiling, what emotional groundwork from season 2 do you think becomes most important as the story progresses?
I think that in season 2, the real challenge is, okay, we have we have sort of learned who we are. Percy has accepted that he's a demigod. Okay, I have this parentage, I have these powers, I have these responsibilities, and I know there's a big world, destroying or building crisis underway. We know that, but now it's more about how am I going to function in this new group? What is my role as a friend to Annabeth? What do I owe my friends? Do I owe anything to Luke? He betrayed me, but he's still kind of a guy that I look up to, and he sort of taught me the ropes. What's my relationship with that? So it's more about exploring the dynamics between the characters. They know who they are. Okay, what are you going to do with that information? It goes back to the choosing sides. How do you show loyalty, and when do you show loyalty?
As longtime readers like myself watch the series, what are you hoping that they notice or reassess when watching season two?
Well, I hope, first of all, they'll say, okay, yeah, I mean, this is the story I know. I mean, the broad strokes are all the same. We're going to the same direction and we're getting to the same destination. So there's nothing to be alarmed about in the changes. But I hope they also say, oh, wow. When I look at Thalia and Luke and young Annabeth together on the screen, that hits so much more powerfully than even it did when Annabeth's just telling us the story. It's the same content, but it's so much more visceral and visual that I think it'll be a real treat for longtime fans to see it brought to life in a different way.
Yeah, I will say those scenes in particular were definitely some of my favorites, and the cast did such an incredible job with the emotional weight of those scenes.
Oh, good. I'm
Can't
glad
wait
to
to
hear
watch
that.
them some more. One last thing that I will wrap up with. You've always written Percy's world with humor, heartbreak, and hope, all deeply intertwined with each other. What themes from Sea of Monsters and what lessons from Sea of Monsters are you hoping that young audiences walk away from season two with?
Well, all of those are certainly present. You need the humor to put up with the heartbreak, and you need hope also to get through that. I guess the lesson of the Sea of Monsters is the journey is difficult, but it is not insurmountable. Even between the impossible choice of Scylla and Charybdis, there is a way through, and there might be a third way that you haven't thought about.